Yes, I see it. Okay. All right, you going to tell me when to go to breaks from there? Or? Okay, cool.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Following the biggest offseason of moves and acquisitions by General Manager Howie Roseman, the expectations of this city have never been higher. Welcome to the 2022 Pond Lehocky Postgame Show on 6abc.com and across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, exclusively presented by Pond Lehocky Giordano. Live from the Gallery Bar, booking games inside Ocean Casino Resort. Let's get this post-game show underway. EAGLES, Eagles.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. You see us all on the screen as we do this show remotely, and oh my God, what a game. I mean, it's put you through all kinds of emotions, back and forth, up and down. It wasn't really decided until Gardner Minshew's hurried fourth down pass went incomplete in the end zone, and the Dallas Cowboys hang on to win it 40-34. It's a shame the turnovers killed them today, but Gardner Minshew had he
Well, I guess we're experiencing some microphone problems with Mike Missinelli. Hopefully we can get those rectified in just a few moments. But I'm Derek Gunn along with Seth Joyner. And Seth, let's go back to our pregame show, Seth. And right before we close, where I made the comment that as we've watched this entire NFL season unfold, the only thing we can expect is something unexpected. And no matter how much we try to analyze this matchup, the strength and the weaknesses of both teams, in your wildest imagination, did you expect to see anything like what we saw in this game today on both sides of the football?
Not even. I mean, I thought that, the first half of the game is really how I kind of envisioned the game going. Each team had 4 possessions. Each team had, 1 turnover. And then you go to the second half and you're talking, 6, 7, 8 possessions in the second half alone. And in my opinion, the undoing of the Eagles, again, if you look at their 2 losses, right, it will come down to 4 turnovers in the first loss, 4 turnovers in this loss. And when they don't protect the ball, I don't care who it is that you're playing, you're going to lose the game under those circumstances.
All right, guys, do you have me now? Do you hear me?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. We had a little technical problem there, but I was saying it was a shame because Minshew really did play well. A couple of those interceptions were really good plays by the Dallas Cowboys, and he gave them a chance to win. And this game came down to 3 particular elements, I thought. The one was that they allowed that T.Y. Hilton bomb. He made a great catch on that. That led to the tying TD. And then Deron Bland made a great interception there. And, of course, the Sanders fumble, which was disheartening for everybody. And, the 4 turnovers, Seth and Gunner, they led to 20 points. And you're right, you can't turn the ball over. But they had a chance right to the end. And I thought they were going to be able to pull that off with an extra point victory. And it just didn't happen for them. So tough loss, not the end of the world. But obviously you can't win when you turn the ball over. But what did you think of Minshew today?
Well, he
go ahead,
showed me that he is a quality backup quarterback in the National Football League. Much better than most backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. I thought the game plan that Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen put together for him was perfect in terms of getting him in a rhythm, to get him acclimated in a game of this magnitude in a hostile environment. I thought he executed the game plan well. He made the throws. I love how he wherever the pressure was coming from, he sidestepped the pressure, bought himself some additional time, made the necessary throws that he had to make, except for a few minor miscues. And Mike, as you talked about, a couple of interceptions were just great plays made by the Dallas defenders. For a guy to come off the bench and not play and throw up 355 yards in a game of this magnitude, what else more do you want from him? And there's one thing quite evident, whether they win, lose, or draw, that the Eagles' backup is way much better than the Dallas Cowboys' backup.
Yeah, and Seth, obviously defensively, they weren't at their best. They allowed the quarterback to complete 19 straight at one point, and it seemed like every time the Eagles seemingly got control of this game, Dallas was able to come back and score on them. Of course, they were aided by a couple of short fields there. But what did you think of the defensive effort today?
I felt like, the turning point in the game was when Avonte Maddox went out. When Avonte Maddox got hurt, everything went to hell in the handbasket, for this defense. I was going back and forth with people on Twitter today, and they kept going on. I'm like, listen, believe it or not, I was defending Jonathan Gannon because I loved his game plan today. He brought pressure, where he needed to bring pressure in certain situations to speed up, Dak's clock. This game will come down to 2 huge, third down situations where the Eagles had him dead to rights. And, your players have to make plays. Like Avonte Maddox on that third down in the first half, you got him in third down. They run the blitz. You're down around Dak's ankles. And, if you could just make the tackle, you're off the field. The offense is rolling. It's got rhythm. It's got timing. It's got, everything at its disposal. We're probably going to go down and score again. But you don't make the play. Dak spins out of it, completes a pass for the third down. Consequently, they end the drive with a touchdown. Then, the 3rd and 30. I mean, how do you give up 50 on 3rd and 30 is just way beyond me. Those 2 plays will make the bigger difference, in understanding why the Eagles lost this football game. But make no mistake about it. When Josiah Scott comes into the game and when you have to start inserting players in positions where they're not used to being as a defensive play caller, okay? If you don't have confidence that guy knows exactly what to do, it alters the way that you call the game. It alters the way that, the different positions that you put your players in. And last but not least, TJ Edwards is a great player for this Eagles defense. He is a passing game liability, and teams are beginning to scheme him in the passing game. When you get 3 receivers to one side, and they take the tight end and they swap him out and put CeeDee Lamb in the middle, that is a mismatch. Even in zone coverage, that's a mismatch that TJ Edwards is not going to win. And then when you get him in man situation, even when you're 2-by-2 against the tight end, he can't make that coverage. So now you pick your poison, because what are they going to do? If you put him on the back and put Kazir White over on the tight end or on that number 3 guy, your coverage situation is 10 times better. But what are they now going to do? Now they're going to start scheming the running back out of the backfield, trying to get TJ Edwards matched up on a Pollard out of the backfield. So you can't win. And it's one of those situations, as I watch it, you can see teams begin to game plan. Okay, if we need to pass the ball, we can make hay in the middle of the field. And that's where the Dallas Cowboys dominated this defense, especially in the second half, is in the middle portion of the field because we could not stand up to what they were doing.
And, you know, the bomb that you cite, the Eagles looked like they had them down and out in that series. They got the sack fumble, and they didn't get on it. It was ripped out of the hands of an Eagle. Reddick got that one. And then the sack by Sweat. It looked like they were down and out. And then he flings the bomb to T.Y. Hilton, who, you know, they just picked up, and he's a savvy receiver. I get it. But that was a killer because, you know, that led to them getting a touchdown on that. And CeeDee Lamb with a great move on Bradbury on that play where Bradbury thought he was going to go inside and he cut out. And that was a monster touchdown. So you put that together with the turnovers, and it ruined Christmas Eve a little bit. But again, we're in a situation now where they need one win to clinch this whole thing. And Dallas survives. They would have to win out, and the Eagles have to lose out. So it still looks like they're going to get the number one seed. So now we go with the Hurts situation. I mean, do you find an immediacy to play him next week just to get that win and not want to go down to that last game? How do you guys feel about that?
Well, it depends on what the medical experts say. You know, initially it was thought that he was just going to miss the one game. And then all of a sudden reports started coming out yesterday that there's a possibility he could miss that Saints game as well. But as I've been saying time and time again, when you have a chance to put the nail in the coffin in terms of wrapping up the number one seed and the division, it's all hands on deck. You know, he came back and played with that shoulder injury and into the fourth quarter and threw the ball well against the Chicago Bears. But as Seth will tell you, when you have that adrenaline rush, you know, your body doesn't feel a lot of things until you start to relax, and the body relaxes and the next day. Now, I'm waiting to see what happens now. What do they define as a sense of urgency? Now, in no way, shape, or form are the New Orleans Saints anywhere close to being what the Philadelphia Eagles are. But again, on any given Sunday, you just don't know what happens. And you've got to put the nail in the coffin. I do believe Gardner Minshew, based on the way he played today, is good enough to be that guy to help the Eagles put the nail in the coffin next Sunday against the Saints. But everybody's going to hone in on what exactly is going on with Jalen Hurts if he doesn't play next Sunday.
Well, Seth, injured players, it's a funny thing when you need one win. And can you afford to let it go down to the last game to let him heal a little longer? I mean, how would you play this right now?
I think you have to, examine, and only the Eagles and Jalen Hurts really knows the severity of this injury. I look at it from the standpoint that, hey, he played a third of a quarter and the full fourth quarter with it the way that it was. And he was as impressive in that quarter as he was any other time in the football game. What kind of pain is he actually in? Does it hurt him to throw the ball? Is he throwing the ball with comfortability? Is there accuracy? Is there strength in the arm? If all of those things are a thumbs up, then you roll him out and you got to play him next week. I don't think you can afford to go into week 18 needing to beat the New York Giants in a divisional game, to wrap up what you need to wrap up and get it done. I think, with the Eagles, Gardner Minshew played a great game today. There's no doubt about it. But the way that this offense is designed, he can't do in this offense what Jalen Hurts can do in this offense. That's just a fact. There was a couple of times where he got out of the pocket. I seen him scramble, and the defense, kind of got to him really quick. You're not getting a Jalen Hurts like that. He's going to make a first down. He's going to get you the yards that you need. I'm not so sure that Jalen Hurts misses some of those plays, some of those passing plays that Gardner Minshew missed today. I really didn't like the way he was backing out of, the pocket rather than stepping into the pocket and trusting his offensive line to get done what he needed to get done. It's a sticky situation because if Jalen goes out there and he gets hurt again or he aggravates it, now you're in recovery process all the way up throughout, until you get back on the field in the playoffs. if he goes out and he plays well, then you afford yourself the opportunity in week 18 to sit him and rest him, let him strengthen it up a little bit, and put Gardner Minshew back out there again. But I think the dynamicism that you lose not having Jalen Hurts on the field running this offense, if he can play, is a big difference. And in my
I don't
opinion,
think there's any question about that. I mean,
well, and I think Mike too. I honestly believe, if he played today and he was 75% of what he could have been, then I believe the Eagles win this football game.
Yeah,
you're probably right about that. And the one thing Minshew didn't want to do, it looked like, was to make a mistake. He threw a lot of balls away early. He got rid of play. He burned plays early because he didn't, want to make a mistake there. He didn't want to get sacked. He didn't want to hang in there to see if he could actually make something. Yeah, it was a smart, controlled way to play the football game for Minshew, and I thought he did a good job with that and made enough good throws for them to win. And the 4 turnovers just kind of erased that whole thing. Now I want to look at the end of this game. And I thought Mike McCarthy was going to give the Eagles this game because it was at the end, and they decided to go for it on 4th down. And I'm thinking, okay, there's 2 ways of doing this. One is you hope they go offside so you can convert it easily. And the other thing is that you're actually thinking that you want to go for it there, because clearly the move was they had 1 timeout left. Clearly the move is to kick that field goal, make them want to score a touchdown, make them have to score a touchdown, only 1 timeout left. And I thought, and McCarthy's had terrible time management problems over his years, but they wound up doing the right thing. It was baffling to me that he wound up doing the right thing by kicking that field goal, which made the Eagles come back. But in that last drive, I got to say, Devontae Smith was a man today. That dude played a great game, and that high point catch that he made on that last drive. And when I saw that play, I said, if he makes that catch, they're going to win this game. I mean, I was deadly sure they were going to win that game after he made that catch.
His body control and hand coordination ability is unbelievable, second to none. This young man, I go back to the sideline catch he made, where he kept his body controlled and both feet in bounds. He's a grown man. He's still a young man, but he is a grown man. You cannot contain this young man. Did you see the ups he had on that catch? Trying to cover him one-on-one is a nightmare for any DB in the National Football League, and they all know it. Minshew's comfort zone in this game today, because of who he was throwing to. Think about some of the catches Dallas Goedert made. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. When you have those kind of pass catchers in your arsenal, if I'm a quarterback, there's nothing to be worried about, because they're going to make your bad throws look good. But you're right. What Devontae Smith is able to do when the ball's in his area zone is just incredible. And you can't get enough watching this young man. Every time you think you've seen the best of him, he wows you again in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, he's just a special talent. 8 catches for 113 today, 14.1 average. But he made them fret back there. And I was thinking about the one play where they had A.J. Brown out of the game on that play, and they wound up okey-doking Diggs on that play, who went to the wrong guy, went and saw Goddard in that area and allowed Devontae to get behind him. This was an entertaining game. It's a damn shame they didn't pull this off, because they did a lot of things right that you would think they're going to steal this one in Dallas and clinch this whole division and then be able to just rest for the rest of the year, basically.
Well, listen, they did, but the issue is, like I said in the opening, the turnovers are the issues for them. You look at the 2 games that they've lost. They have a combined total of 8 turnovers in those 2 games. You're just not going. You're not supposed to win football games, under those circumstances. And I'm of the mindset also that Quez Watkins is going to have to figure out a way to step up his game. Gardner Minshew went to him a lot more than Jalen Hurts would have went to him in this game, and he failed him in both situations. Both of Gardner's interceptions came off of passes right to Quez Watkins, where he's not fighting and he's not really contending for the football. That last one, all you got to do is flatten your route. If you flatten your route, you cut the defender off and you stop him from coming, around you. The first one is pass interference. I'm just going to call it what it is. There's no way in hell that you can jump over a guy and get an interception and it not be interference. He's there before the ball even gets there. But you're in Dallas and you're not going to get those types of calls. But, A.J. Brown ain't letting that happen. Devontae Smith ain't letting that happen. Quez Watkins got to figure out a way, if he's going to play the amount of snaps that he's going to play, he's got to figure out a way where he's not the damn weak link at the wide receiver position. If he's going to be that way, then you need to take Zach Pascal and move him into the slot, because he's got to play with better strength and better intensity and better urgency at that position, because they're going to need him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He had to get tougher on a couple of those plays and allow Dallas to come out with a better result there. So, I mean, there's so many things that happened in this game. I mean, the first half was crazy up and down, and then the second half was crazy up and down. And I think there's one punt this whole game, right? Dallas punted once. The Eagles didn't punt at all. And once they got a 3-and-out, once the Eagles got that 3-and-out, I said, okay, well, they finally got control of this thing, and they never really got control, even though they did have a 10-point lead in this game at one point.
I did feel when they went up 27-17, I honestly thought the Eagles had the game in hand. I thought they had control of the game, and I didn't think there was any way, shape, or form that Dallas would be able to catch up with them and let alone surpass them as well. You play games of this magnitude, you cannot turn the football over plain and serious. You can't. You just cannot. There's a lot of fault to go around for the way things turned itself out. But, for the Eagles go in there without their MVP candidate quarterback to put up over 442 yards of offense on its team, 34 points in their backyards, that says something in itself about if your main quarterback was in there, this game would have been a blowout.
And listen, go ahead, Mike.
I'm going to say, you're right. The 27-17, when they took that lead, that was the play that Devontae made with where Diggs got okey doked on Goddard. I did think that was going to be a touchdown that really broke Dallas, because they even then they just came back with a field goal, make it 27-20, and then there was the Boston Scott fumble, which really turned some momentum over to Dallas as well, and they got the tying touchdown at 27. So again, you're right, Seth. Those turnovers were really costly, because the Eagles had a 10-point lead, and they still had a 7-point lead when Boston Scott fumbled that ball and allowed Dallas to get back in the game, tie the game, and get some momentum for the fourth quarter.
And listen, if you think about it, Derek brought up the stat. He said he had 20 points off of turnovers, okay? If you erase those turnovers, this is a total beatdown. And every single one of those turnovers negates potential opportunities to score on those possessions for the offense, So, I mean, you can't overcome that, because you're taking possessions away from yourself and you're giving possessions to the other team and you're giving hope to the other team. The whole thing with, Boston Scott, I'm going to give part of the blame to Gardner. I'm going to give part of the blame to Boston Scott. Boston's got to get the ball. I don't care where he places it. But Gardner's also got to realize that he's got a guy playing running back that's replacing a guy that's maybe 6 foot with a guy that's probably 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", okay? So the mesh point is a lot lower. You got to be aware of that. He put that ball right up under his chin on his chest, So, yeah, he couldn't really get to it. But listen, we can go on and on. There's so many. Let's talk about Darius Slay for a second. I don't know what has happened to him over the last 5 or 6 weeks, but he looks lost, And here's a guy that just made another Pro Bowl, and he hadn't been playing like a Pro Bowl player the last 5, 6, 7 weeks. I don't know what's going on with him, but he seems unsure where he's supposed to be and what he's supposed to be doing. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what the circumstances are, but you expect for this guy, one of the highest paid defensive players on your team, to be a difference maker, and he's been a liability the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, man. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's a good call. He has not played well. He didn't play well in this game. He was behind the play a lot. collided with a defensive back on one play. Seemed to be upset at somebody on the sidelines. I don't know what that was all about. But you're right. He has not played. Bradbury didn't play that well today either. So, when you allow 40 points, your defense isn't exactly covering itself in glory. So, again, this is not the end of the world. And they need one win to clinch it, and they most likely are going to get that. So we're gonna be at least go through a bye here where the Eagles have a fighting chance of entertaining everybody to come to their place. Now, speaking of injuries, Lane Johnson's usually part of the show. We're being told that Lane will not be able to make this show. He suffered an injury late in the game. I don't know what you guys saw on that, but Lane was out, and it's unfortunate. I can't blame Driscoll, but he had a chance to pick up that fumble, and he missed it. I don't know if Lane misses that, but what are you hearing about Lane, Derek?
As of right now, they're still evaluating. If you look at the way the play unfolded, we didn't see him get injured, until after the play. They never showed the replay of how he got injured. He limped off the field, he went into the tent, and then he went into the locker room. So I've reached out to him and a couple of other people to see what's going on. So hopefully he can get some kind of update in terms of what happened. Now, somebody who's in the know who just texted me back said, not sure exactly what he did. And this is a person that was down on the field. So if this person doesn't know exactly what's going on with Lane yet, then we're going to be held in the dark for a little bit longer unless Nick Sirianni comes out to the podium and explains exactly what happened to him.
All right, so we won't have Lane, so we'll just kick more of this around. There's so much to talk about in this game. It's mind blowing, back and forth, and each touchdown. And we usually do something called the drive of the game, and I was befuddled with the drive of the game. I thought I had it settled when the Eagles, late in the game when they went 13 plays, 75 yards to take a 34-27 lead. And again, they looked like they had control, and then they didn't have control. It was a very odd game.
I don't know what the over-under was in terms of points, but I don't think it was 74.
No, it definitely went over. And the Cowboys wound up, they were a 5-point favorite going into this game, I guess because Minshew was going to start. Ironically, they were a 1-point underdog. The Eagles, if Jalen Hurts would have played, we talked about that line, it went up to 5. So, Dallas winds up covering, which is no big deal. So, I was going to wear my Christmas hat. And I was all gacked up. I had the Christmas hat all going on, the Santa cap. So it's a Christmas Eve that's a little bit bittersweet here. We'll take a break, and we'll come back on the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. As you can see, those guys are in their home little studios here. I'm hanging out at Ocean still. You can see the beautiful pool behind me. I'm suspended in air at Ocean Casino as we do this show. And we'll come back. Devin Caney is going to join us, obviously, with the Diamond Debate. And we'll have our 2-minute drill. We'll have our drive at the game. We'll have game balls. We have all kinds of things to talk about with this 40-20 or 34 victory by the Dallas Cowboys today that went down to the wire, and the Eagles almost pulled it off. Let's take a break. We're back after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on that. Can you
search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today?
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Happy Christmas Eve, everybody out there. And, it's a little bittersweet. The Eagles lose today to the Cowboys, and all is not lost. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. Devin Caney will join us in a bit. This is usually part of the show where we go to Lane Johnson, the Eagles locker room, but Lane got a little banged up today, won't be able to join us. So let's just look over some stats today. The Eagles, guys, 442 yards of offense, and within that, Devontae, 8 for 113. A.J. Brown, 6 for 103. Dallas, meanwhile, 419 yards of offense. And CeeDee Lamb was a monster today, 10 catches for 120. You wonder about the defense. Did they get heat on Dak? They did. They got 6 sacks out of it today. They got a couple half sacks in there, but they wound up with 6 all total. And they still wind up losing this game. So I want to go over some moments in the first half and get you guys' thoughts, because it started out, the Eagles get the opening drive. They get points right out of the chute on the opening drive. Although it's not a touchdown, they go up 3-0. Then they go up 10-0 when Dak makes a terrible amateurish play where he's got a guy wide open to flat, and he doesn't float it high enough, and Sweat snares it and goes in for a touchdown. It's 10-0. I'm thinking, well, okay, this is a great way to start the game. What did you guys feel?
Well, I thought it was a great start to the game. And just felt like, the Eagles were off and running. The next series is when, they have the third down and Avonte Maddox comes in, I believe, and misses the sack, which turns into, the first touchdown by the Dallas Cowboys. And I thought that took a little steam out of their ship, because if they make them punt right there, the way, the offense had been moving the ball, the first series, they just boom, boom, boom right down the field. You get the sense that, they're going to take the ball, march down the field, 7 more points. They go up 17-0. Now you got Dallas in panic mode. But the fact that they were
of course, that play was Devontae Maddox had him around the ankles, and he squirmed out, and he was able to make a throw to convert that third down. And then, Zeke Elliott got that touchdown and put him on the board at 10-7. And then Minshew gets the big pick. It's the J-Ron Curse pick, and that led to a TD where they took the lead. And again, CeeDee Lamb with a 36-yard snag, and it was the busted coverage by Slay. And you saw that, Seth. He lost the coverage on that, and Blankenship was a little late coming over, which gave Dallas the lead. And that's what you're talking about with Slay. He just doesn't look like he's that intuitive right now.
I don't know whether he didn't get the check, whether there was a check on any kind of motion or whatnot. But you would seem, when they went over in the broadcast and they were talking about it in the telestrated, it looked like they were supposed to be rolling to a cover 3 look, which would have meant that Slay should have been in the deep third, which would have taken that play away and would have forced Dak to throw the ball to the flat. Instead, Slay is out on the ball in the flat, and CeeDee Lamb is running towards the end zone all by himself into that deep third, and Blankenship is trying to get over there and cover. Then there was another play, where Slay looked like he should have been deep on the wide receiver, like he didn't know whether he should be running with him, and that indecision was just enough to allow the play to get down the field. And then obviously, you got the 3rd and 30, and you get hit for 50 yards, and Darius Slay is, kind of involved in that. I'm not so sure where he was supposed to be on that, but you got Josiah Scott coming over top. What coverage are you in that you got Josiah Scott trying to get over the top of Darius Slay? I'm not sure what the heck that defense was, but that to me is unconscionable. That you can throw up a Hail Mary, a prayer like that in 3rd and 30 and complete it. To me, that was the game right there.
All right, so Dallas took the 14-10 lead, and then Minshew kicks off a pretty good drive with throws to Gardner and Watkins, and they get it down to the Dallas 30, and then he misses Watkins, who was wide open, looked like that was a touchdown throw, missed him, but then he makes a big 3rd down throw completion to AJ, and then they wound up getting the sneak with Minshew, the Hurts sneak, which is not stopped, was obviously not going to be stopped with Minshew either. They run that play very well, take a 17-14 lead, and Dallas comes back. The Eagles hold them, they stall them, but it looked like it was going to be a touchdown drive. They get a field goal out of that to make it 17-17, and then there was the penalty and the long 3rd down throw by Minshew, which led to a field goal to get the Eagles a 2017 halftime lead. And that was the one with Dallas Goedert. Explain what happened on that play, Seth. They called him for a false start. Could have been very well an illegal shift. But what happened on that play? What did he do wrong that forced them to kick the field goal there instead of get that touchdown?
Well, I think they were in a situation where, they were hurrying up, trying to get up to the ball and get set. And in that situation, Dallas wasn't aware whether he was supposed to be the guy on or the guy off. And he moved late, which turned it into, an illegal procedure call. I'm pretty sure, you walk through those every Saturday or Friday in this case. Maybe the fact that Dallas has been out for a while, maybe that's something that was overlooked. But, that's a major, major mistake in that situation to incur a penalty like that, because you go from 1st and 10 to 1st and 15. And then Gardner Minshew, consequently, is in a situation where you got to ensure that you get the 3, and he's backing out, just throwing balls away, just trying to bleed more time off the clock instead of actually going for the touchdown. And it was pretty darn obvious that Dallas was coming after him 3 straight times in a row. They weren't going to give him time to sit in the pocket and try to decipher what was going on and try to figure out how to make a play to get a touchdown, because if he scores that touchdown, that really put Dallas in a hole.
All right, so it's 2017 at halftime, and we'll get to the second half in a second. But let's bring in the man who covered the game for JAKIB Sports. Of course, John McMullen joins us every week, and he joins us now from Dallas. John, I would say this is an up-and-down game, and, you can just look at the turnovers that hurt the Eagles that led to 20 points in Dallas, and, the big bomb to T.Y. Hilton and a couple of those turnovers late spoiled the fun on Christmas Eve for everybody. But what does this loss mean to you?
I First of all, it was certainly about the turnovers. And the one thing, you think about the Eagles, they've basically gone wire to wire this season, leading in turnover ratio. Now all of a sudden they're behind Dallas after sort of this -3 performance. And I look at Gardner Minshew, they got more than they could have asked for from a backup quarterback. I mean, Gardner played very well. Anytime you can generate that type of offensive yardage and points with a backup quarterback, you should be able to win the football game. And I look at those specific turnovers. Wes Watkins has got to fight harder for both of those picks. I mean, you can say Gardner stared him down a little bit in the J-Ron Curse interception. That's fine, but he's got to fight for that football. The Boston Scott fumble, Gardner will get credit for it because the quarterback always gets credit for those mishandled mesh point fumbles. But to me, that was clearly Boston Scott's fault. And then obviously the Miles fumble, which was kind of egregious at the end of the game. So that's what did the Eagles in. And yeah, I mean, defensively, Slay's a Pro Bowl player. I mean, he's an all-pro level cornerback. He had a bad game. I mean, T.Y. Hilton got him on that 4th down. He sort of gave him a hat tip and said, great move, T.Y. Got him on 3rd and 30. Looked like he, you think about having Reed Blankenship and Josiah Scott out there. He looked like the one with the miscommunication on the touchdown. Looked like the Eagles were playing cover 3. He didn't carry his receiver down the field. Just a uncharacteristic, poor performance from Darius Slay. So you hope that's kind of self-correcting. But those were the things that kind of stood out. And all these mistakes, and the Eagles still have a chance to win it with a backup quarterback, and they're inside the 20-yard line as the game ends. So I don't think the sky is falling, but I am a little bit concerned with the injuries. I mean, Jalen Hurts, most obviously. We don't know when he's going to be back. It's an SC joint sprain. We know that now. So that's concerning. Lane Johnson looked like a groin. That's concerning. Avonte Maddox completely. When he left the game, all of a sudden they put CD Lamb in the slot and just gashed the Eagles. So though that's the most concerning part to me.
We there's more than enough to go around in terms of negatives that led to the demise of the Eagles on this particular day. But talk to me about one positive I kept noticing is that offensive line's ability to keep heat off of Gardner Minshew. I mean, they didn't sack him one time today. No matter what kind of stunts they tried to run and loops, they couldn't get to him. They used Micah Parsons on the inside a lot more so than I thought they would instead of the outside. Still couldn't get to him. I thought the line from tackle to tackle did a yeoman's job in terms of getting Minshew time to go down the field with the football.
Yeah, they did a great job. And I was a little bit concerned when Lane had to leave, and I thought, they would put Micah on Jack Driscoll. They really didn't do that. So, part of it is, I think, Dan Quinn not utilizing correctly. But, you go back to week 6, Nick specifically said, I talked to you guys about it on the pregame show. We said, all right, if you can't block him, read him. Well, they couldn't really do that today because they didn't have Jalen Hurts. So they had to block him, and they blocked him, and they deserve credit for it. That offensive line is tremendous. It's the best in football. 3 Pro Bowlers, 2 alternates, 100% from Jeff Stoutland University as far as, postseason potential being Pro Bowl players. So, yeah, I mean, that's the best group on this team. It's the best group in this league, and they played well. And that's why you can generate, like I said, don't get me wrong. I think Gardner Minshew did a heck of a job, but there aren't many offensive lines where you can put the backup quarterback and say, we're going to get 442 yards of offense. And that's what the Eagles did today.
Mm-hmm. John, I'll say this. I can understand why Micah Parsons didn't move over on the other side on Jack Driscoll, because, Micah he's a phenomenal athlete, but he's also an effort guy. And it's very rare that you see guys that have the combination of both. A lot of times guys who lack, total skills and total talent will be an effort guy, knowing that they've got to go 100 miles an hour at all times in order to get there. Guys who have talent, they know that they can beat you with a variety of moves and with their athleticism. Micah Parsons is a guy who has both. And when you're playing against a guy like Jordan Mailata, I've noticed this. He doesn't finish plays when he's blocking in pass protection. And I have a real problem with that. If the play is going on, I don't give a damn if Jalen Hurts is running out of the pocket or whether Gardner Minshew is running out of the pocket. If you didn't hear a whistle, that means the play is not over. That means you keep blocking. There was a couple of times where Gardner had to get out of the pocket, and because Micah kept taking an inside charge, he kept pushing him out to the left side. And because he was leaving the pocket, all of a sudden Jordan Mailata just gave up on the play, and Micah Parsons takes off and runs, and now he's chasing. He catches up with a guy that he knows that he can catch up with. Instead of Jordan Mailata just getting on him, staying on him, laying on him, mashing him, or pancaking him. That is something that has to change, because when you play against really good pass rushers, they don't stop. They don't stop until they hear the whistle. And he has to play that same way. So there was no reason to move him over there on Jack when he knew that he could make hay and wreak havoc, on Jordan Mailata, because he's not going to play the whole darn play.
Well, I meant as far as finishing, and obviously he wasn't able to finish. And anytime, he's a really good player. I mean, if we're talking defensive player of the year, he's probably fallen behind Nick Bosa, but he's on a very short list to be a potential defensive player of the year. So anytime you can get out of Dallas in that environment, not giving up a sack to Micah Parsons, I would consider that a win. I think a lot of people forget Jordan is still learning the game because he's so good. And he's taken a bit of a step back this year from last year, but I think that had to do with his own shoulder injury. Remember, when he got hurt early in the season, the Eagles were fearful that was a season-ending injury. So he's been fighting through pain throughout the whole season, and he's had range of motion issues. He's had strength issues. He's slowly regaining that, and I think he's gotten better and better as the year has gone on. He still struggles sometimes with speed rushers, and that's Micah. So if you're telling me Micah Parsons going to line up over Jordan Mailata and he's not going to get a sack, I'm going to take that and say that's a win. But I think you got to go way down the list when you talk about reasons to lose this game before you get to the offensive line. I think the offensive line did a heck of a job against, from a pressure percentage standpoint, Dallas is better than the Eagles. And they didn't get home once. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, he's a reason why. I'm just, when you look at how plays wind up, how they play out in the end, okay, you have to look at that, because that's the difference between maybe Gardner being able to scramble for a first down or buy time to get the ball down the field and not. And, listen, if you're going to make this guy, your left tackle, and you're going to pay him what you paid him, at some point in time, I know for a fact that, the offensive line coach has talked to him about this, because it's not the first time that it's happened. I've seen it happen on a number of times where Jalen Hurts will get out of the pocket, and Jordan will see him out of the pocket and give up on his guy, and his guy will go and make a play. You got to play all the way through. And I'm just making – this is one of these games where you begin to break it down, and you begin to break down the little small details of the game, because the small details of this game is really why they lost the game. Now, I'm not saying, him not finishing the play is why they lost the game, but to your point, Quez Watkins not fighting for balls the way that he has to, okay? Darius Slay making mental mistakes, uncharacteristic for a guy who's been in the league as long as he has. You got, Jordan Mailata, in my opinion, not finishing plays. the game is so the dynamics of a football game, especially when you're playing against two teams that are so evenly matched, even statistically, the difference between winning and losing is so minuscule. But when you begin to add up the little small things, one after another, after another, after another, after another, then you throw on top of it 4 turnovers. Now you put yourself in a position where all of those little things become a huge thing. It becomes a molehill. And if they don't get it fixed now, it's going to be a problem down the road. You have to finish. And I'm not saying that it's Jordan Mailata's fault. I'm not saying it's the offensive line's fault. They did a phenomenal job, to be able to stop this Dallas defense from getting a sack whatsoever. But at the other end,
there's always stuff you can point to. Like, I always say I'm not a stat guy to begin with, because I think football is a game that isn't as clear cut as black and white as baseball, say, where, it's just batter versus pitcher, and you got this large sample size. And, everybody's going to be happy and say, oh, the Eagles got 6 sacks again. For instance, I thought they weren't as disciplined in the pass rush, and they let Dak Prescott, who's not Justin Fields, leak out a little bit too much and do some things with scrambles that typically they would not do. But I will say, from talking to Jonathan Gannon all the time and Nick Sirianni all the time, they're both on the same page. Other than the scoreboard, the two areas they want to win are turnover ratio and explosive plays, the explosive play battle. And if you win those 2 categories, you're going to win the football game. Well, they were -3 in turnovers, and they lost by 6 points. I mean, all these issues we're talking about, Seth, if they're even in the turnover ratio, they don't even have to be +3. If they're even, they win the football game.
Agreed.
So you're never going to play a perfect game, and I nitpick as much as anybody. But 4 turnovers sticks out to me like a sore thumb in this game.
John, I want to talk about Minshew a little bit with you. A 2-part question. Number one, listen, it's hard to complain. The guy throws for 355 yards, but it looked like he was determined to play a very safe game, and this is where you missed Hurts. Hurts would hang in there a little longer and make a play, obviously because of his athletic ability that Minshew does not have. Did you think he bailed out on a few throws too soon? And of course, the second part of this question is now, where did they go with this Hurts thing as it pertains to Minshew needing 1 win? And maybe Jalen needs another week to rest, and that would put them under the gun for one last game of the season to get that number 1 seed. So first, tell me what you thought of Minshew and the way he approached this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is Gardner Minshew, right? And he's a quick processor, gets rid of the football on time. He's very accurate with intermediate throws. I think you saw it with the in-breaking routes early to Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown specifically. Then he got Devontae Smith, who had a phenomenal game going in the second half specifically. He was great throwing to those 3 guys. Some issues going, as we said, going to Quez Watkins. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm not concerned at all about Gardner Minshew, especially with New Orleans. Jalen, in my opinion, is going to need another week at least. Gardner, I would be shocked if he doesn't start against the Saints.
Right.
And I don't think the Eagles are scared of that at all. I think they expected to win this game. In a lot of ways, they should have won this game. If Quez fights for those footballs that Boston Scott does his job at the mesh point, they probably win the football game. I thought Gardner did an excellent job. Is he Jalen Hurts? No, of course not. He's not an MVP candidate. But, he probably made a lot of money because he validated the standpoint that he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the world. I mean, there's no way there's 32 better quarterbacks than Gardner Minshew. He should be a starter in this league, and obviously he's going to be a free agent. So from a personal standpoint, I think he did well for himself. And then if the Eagles still need that win against the New York Giants in Week 18, hopefully Jalen Hurts, you can push him. And I don't even know if that's the right word. Hopefully he'll be healthy enough to play in that game. But I don't think the Eagles will be concerned at all about going back to Gardner Minshew next week.
Hey, John, put your fan/reporter hat on for just a moment. and take me through both scenarios mentally when you sat there and watched that 3rd and 30 play unfold. Because if we were all betting men, betting everything we had, I guarantee all of us would bet there's nowhere in the world Dallas is converting a 3rd and 30. So take me through that perspective, John, from both as a fan and as a journalist.
First of all, I liked it from Dallas's perspective. But I don't know why more teams don't do that, especially in the modern NFL, where you can get a penalty, you can get anything. You can get a flag, and all of a sudden it turns it over. And by the way, if you intercept it, just throw the football down the field. It's like a punt anyway. So I like it when teams just don't give up. You know, you see so many teams, 3rd and 30 situation, they'll run a quick smoke screen or they'll throw something underneath because they see the coverage and just give up and punt the football. So I liked it from Dallas's perspective. Take a shot. And you saw it. You take a shot. You know, Slay made a mistake. I don't know what he was looking at. He kept looking inside. He kept looking back. And T.Y. Hilton got behind him, made a great play. One of the key turning points in the game. Yeah, but anytime you get 3rd and 30, that's, you know, 4th and 26 is so big in this town.
Yeah.
Well, here's 3rd and 30.
Hey, John, you talked about talking to Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon all the time. Give us some insight as to how much Jonathan Gannon's play calling changes when Avonte Maddox goes out and Josiah Scott has to come in. Because I really like, and you know, I was on social media defending Jonathan Gannon, if you can believe that today. I love his play calling in the first half. I really did. But the minute that Avonte Maddox went out of the game, it seemed like the whole game plan went out the window. And he got really conservative, and it really changed, you know, the way that he called plays. You know, and I try to tell people all the time, it always comes down to a trust factor, you know, with a defensive coordinator. If he can't trust you as a player, there's certain situations that he's not going to put you in.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I always talk about with the Fangio scheme that the Eagles run, and about 12 other teams in this league run. Communication is the biggest part of it on the back end, and you see it with other teams. The Eagles have played that scheme the best, but when you blow coverages, it's almost always miscommunication. So there's, you know, I theorized that the Eagles are really good at it because they have savvy players, and they have Slay and they have Bradbury, and Slay didn't play like himself today. Avonte's in that category as well. And when you have younger players, and I see it all over the NFL, more so in other cities who play the same defense. I always question those coordinators, because to me, and Seth, you can probably talk about this, when you have a young player that's not savvy in cover two, quarters, cover six, all these different kind of zone coverages designed to fool the quarterback until at least post snap, those guys have trouble with it. They're not used to it, but they're really athletic. So to me, I would say I would point at another receiver. That's your guy. To me, that's easier for younger players, where the Eagles have, and Bradbury is so savvy as a player. And as I said, Slay, this was so uncharacteristic of him, the way he played. So long-term, I'm not concerned with it. I thought he did some nice things on CeeDee Lamb in the second half. I know one play they showed where he had Kayvon Wallace on him who pressed him, and then Marcus Epps was sort of bracketing him. It's probably too little, too late. But I just think the secondary played poorly as a group. And that hasn't happened that often. I thought they played poorly. And anytime Slay plays poorly, it's a surprise to me. And he played poorly.
John, thank you. We appreciate it. I don't know where you think this leads. I mean, really, it's to me, it's not a big deal. They're going to get the number one seed anyway. I think it's practically impossible for them not to get the number one seed. But, Seth's worried about a couple things down the line. I mean, I guess the last question is that are you worried about anything as they go down this gauntlet here and they're going to have to face these good teams coming to Philadelphia?
I'm worried if Lane's not out there. So, if it's significant, I know he had a wrap on sort of his abdomen area. Avante was in a walking boot. I'm concerned if those guys are not out there. They're a different team when those players aren't out there. And we have to see with Jalen. I mean, it's an SC joint, a little bit different from an AC joint, a little bit more serious. My guess is we're not going to see him again until January 21st or January 22nd, because I do think the Eagles are going to. No, here's why. Not because he's not healthy.
No, okay.
They don't need to play.
I think they're going to clinch next week. You don't need him in week 18. The Eagles are going to let him get healthy. But, when you don't see somebody, there's that uncertainty that comes with it. And then you start talking about rust, and that's a long time sitting.
Yep.
So injuries are my main concern.
That would be 4 weeks. Yep.
Hey, John, quick question before you go. If Driscoll came in for Lane, but if you had to make the decision, if Lane is out for an extended period of time, who do you want to see on the right side hold it down until he gets back? Jack's kind of proven himself. He's more natural. I know Jordan can do it, and Andre Dillard can play left tackle. I assume that's where you're going, Derek. But I think Jack Driscoll is a more natural right tackle. And I know Jeff Stoutland well enough that he doesn't like moving parts either. So he doesn't want to affect two positions unless he has to. And I don't think he thinks he has to. Okay.
John, thank you so much for hanging out, and have a happy holiday to you. And we'll catch you next week on New Year's Day.
Hey, happy holidays to you guys too. Appreciate it.
John McMullen covering the Eagles today in Dallas. And as we go to break, I think the same thing might happen, that they won't play him the rest of the year, which means he won't have played in 4 weeks until that first playoff game, guys. We'll discuss that in a bit.
That's a big mistake, man.
That's dangerous. That happens.
It's a long time to not be playing. We'll talk about that in a bit. Coming up, David Caney will join us to do our Diamond Debate right here on the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Back after this.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My husband hadn't missed work in 15 years. His injury required months of rehabilitation, and unfortunately, the insurance company didn't see it that way. I was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough. One conversation with Pond Lehocky changed everything. We sat down, told him our story, and they guided us through the whole workers' compensation legal process.
Pond Lehocky. Tell us your story.
Show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Postgame, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Continue your communication sciences and disorders education at Salus University within the Doctor of Audiology or Masters of Science in Speech-Language Pathology programs. With state-of-the-art labs, on-campus clinics, and extensive externship opportunities, students position themselves to be at the top of the job market. Stand out in the audiology and speech-language pathology profession by visiting salus.edu.
Welcome back to the Lehocky Postgame Show. Guys, good to see your faces, even though it's through a computer screen. It is time for our favorite segment every week, the Diamond Debate, presented by Mark's Jewelers. And even though we're doing this one from home, I was still able to get my hands on this beautiful heart gold diamond necklace from Mark's, except right now I am not really hearting or loving anything about the Eagles in the game that they played against the Cowboys today, but it's just going to happen. So today's Diamond Debate topic is about the defense. Of course, Seth, you're going to love this one. What concerns you most about this Eagles defense, particularly their performance today and their performance moving forward now as we get closer to the postseason? If you're watching, tuning in, you want to weigh in, you can weigh in the YouTube channel community page or on the JAKIB Media Twitter page. So right now, injuries are the leading reason, and then pass defense close second, coaching, and other. Usually I call on you guys when we're doing this in person, so I'm going to continue with that trend. Mike Missinelli, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What concerns you most about this defense?
Listen, the secondary concerned me a little bit today, that and also the linebackers and coverage. But I thought the secondary was just out of whack today, and it started with Slay, and I think Bradbury got okey-doked on the one play as well. And it looked like guys like Josiah Scott, Naps were just trying to catch up all day. And when a guy completes 19 passes in a row, that's pretty much an indication. I mean, they did sack him, but he was able to feel comfortable back there a lot of the times, Dak Prescott. So, yeah, the secondary and Darius Slay's play, and we've talked about that extensively in this show. It's unusual because that's the guy you count on. And if he's not playing well, that throws the whole thing out of whack.
Yeah, Slay definitely did not have a good game, to say the least. When Josh Sweat made that pick six at the start of the game, I was super hopeful. I thought that was going to kind of set the tone, and I was not right in that at all. Also wanted to see a bit more aggression from the defense. Seth Joyner, I missed watching the game with you because I felt like you would have been losing your mind watching that. What were your thoughts on the defensive performance?
Devin, believe it or not, on social media, I was actually defending Jonathan Gannon today because I thought he had a really good game plan at the beginning of the game. I thought that once Avonte Maddox went out of the game, it threw everything that they wanted to do in disarray. I mean, he gave the Dallas Cowboys some different looks, which I think would have continued to give Dak problems and give, the secondary, some help. But when you lose a guy like Avonte Maddox, it changes how you call defenses. It changes how you call plays. And I just think that, there was just an air of confusion going on in the entire secondary in the second half of this football game once Avonte Maddox went out. To John's point, a lot of what you do on defense involves communication. And the one thing that young guys don't do is they don't communicate, because if they don't know what they're supposed to do, the last thing they want to do is shout out the wrong thing. But I think what winds up happening is, the older guys like Darius Slay and Marcus Epps, you got to be talking to these young guys. If they won't talk to me, I mean, that was always my deal. If you ain't going to talk to me, I'll talk to you. We're going to be on the same page, whether we're on the wrong page or the right page, at least we're on the same page together. So at least talk, so we got an idea of what we're doing. But, I thought his game plan was very good in the first half, believe it or not, even though it didn't produce any sacks. It produced a lot of pressure on Dak. And it wasn't until once Avonte went out of the game, you saw a lot of the things that he was trying to do, he had to cease doing it. And then Dak got on the roll, and something like, 19 passes in a row, he completed. It was just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, that Avonte, after already being out, has to, go out of this game. It's unfortunate, that Lane Johnson is injured, and it's one of those situations where they needed all hands on deck to win this game without already going into it without Jalen, and then to incur some of these other injuries and mishaps, if you will, on the defensive side of the ball by other veterans. It just added insult to injury and equaled this loss today, which sours everyone's Christmas Eve, I should say.
So, D-Gun, if you are Jonathan Gannon, what are you saying to this defense moving forward? I know the Saints aren't a particularly scary opponent, but the playoffs are looming. What are you saying to them after this loss to Dallas?
We've got a lot to clean up in a short amount of time. We've got to get back to what we were doing the past several weeks before this game, to become that dominant force, to get the ball back in the offensive hands even more so, give them short fields more times than not, as we were doing. Get a lot of threes and outs. This game was an off game, definitely. I know we're honing in on the secondary a lot, and rightfully so, but I'm going to blame the pass coverage in general, and that includes the linebackers. I mean, we haven't even talked about the one play. Tony Pollard goes out on the flat route, should have walked it in for a touchdown, wide open, and Dak missed him on that play as well. Running backs had too much freedom. The tight ends, Ferguson and Schultz, had too much space in the middle of the field, and they could not stop the CeeDee Lamb over the middle routes. You're thinking, okay, somebody on the back end of that defense has got to make an adjustment to take away those routes from CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is not a big physical receiver like an A.J. Brown. He's a gazelle. He's a quick, dark type of receiver. But I've seen teams take CeeDee Lamb out of games because they take away certain routes from him. The Eagles did not do that. There was no adjustments in terms of taking routes away from CeeDee, forcing them back another way, back into double coverage if you had to. There was none of that. They just kept doing what they wanted to do. When the Eagles defense wasn't getting to Dak and sacking him in the second half, he was still finding ways to find these guys on these routes, whether out in the flats or down the seam in the field. And you can't do that as you try to close out a game and a season for that matter. I mean, as close as they are to the finish line of being the number one seed, they haven't crossed that tape yet. You've got to finish that. Now, as we said off the top of the show, Devin, the Saints are not by any stretch of the imagination the equal of the Philadelphia Eagles, but they do have some talent on that team, and they can come in here and wreak some havoc. They've got pass rushers. They've got good guys in the back end. They've got one of the best running backs still in the game. The quarterback has been a big issue for the Saints. But, Andy Dalton has also shown that, for every 10 games he had, 10 bad games he will have, he can also have one good game. You do not want that one good game to be here in Philadelphia. I think it's just a matter of tightening up loose ends. There were too many loose ends today. If they tighten up those loose ends to get back to what they were doing the past several weeks, they'll be just fine.
D-Gun, I'll say this too.
Yeah.
I believe that, and it's one of the reasons why A.J. Brown is so prolific in the passing game. See, I never grew up in the game playing man-to-man coverage, with outside-in technique. Never, ever. With the way that offensive formations are formulated now, they have taken third down offenses and transformed them into first, second, and third down offenses. So now they're dictating personnel. And when you get into two high safety, guess what they're going to do? They're going to run the football. You get in single high safety, they want to throw the football. Right. The problem is when you're playing man coverage and you got single high, and to me, it's amazing because you're only really preventing one route. You're preventing the corner route, okay? When you play outside technique, you want to push everything to the middle of the field. And what winds up happening is on one side, they run everybody off, and then they take the slot receiver or the tight end and they run him across the field. Now, because you're creating vertical pressure on the single high safety by running everybody off, now this guy's in a chase position. And all day long, it's like playing pitch and catch when you're playing outside and that guy runs a slant or a quick over route. You're in a chase position. You can't cover that way. There's certain points and times in the game where you have to alter your technique and how you actually play man-to-man, because that's a no-win situation, especially you got a back coming out of the backfield and he's running that F over route and you're protecting outside. You're not catching that guy. Tight end seam, you're not catching that guy. Slant from an X or a Z wide receiver, you're not defending that. It's almost impossible. That's a dead giveaway. But in certain critical points and times of the game, get everybody lined up and let's play inside-out man-to-man coverage. And let's not worry about the 7 route. That's one of the hardest routes to complete anyway. So make him throw the perfect throw. And hopefully, the safety doesn't get looked off and he gets over the top and you get the help. But you can't line up every single play thinking that you're going to play outside man-to-man coverage and think you're going to succeed at it. You're going to lose in that situation more times than you win, exponentially.
Are you saying, Seth, that is a Jonathan Gannon preparation strategy scheme issue more so than, a player personnel communication issue when it comes to?
No, you can see it. You can see it all over the NFL, Devin. All over the NFL.
Okay, so it's not just the Eagles defense; it's everyone.
No, but my point is, you also have some defensive coordinators in the NFL that realizes that. I don't want to. One of the greatest tenets of playing man-to-man coverage is not letting the guy get inside you. Okay, if he gets inside you and they run everybody else off, you're in chase mode. They got their backs turned. The only guy that sees it is a single high safety. Okay, so if I define his release and I make him go outside, okay, it's easier for me to cover him like that than it is if I give up the inside and now I'm in a chase mode trying to chase down somebody who's faster than I am. I understand why they do it, because they're afraid of anything outside away from the single high safety. But my thing is, every once in a while, you have to change up what you do, because that's a dead giveaway in order for teams to attack the middle of the field. They're going to run everybody off. Listen, they do it. They do it with A.J. Brown. They line him up at X. They run everybody off, and they ran the slant on the backside. And because he's such a big body, he's boxing out the defender, and the defender can't even get in front of him. That's exactly what happened with Quez. The problem with Quez today is Quez's body isn't big enough to box the defender out to keep him away from the ball, and they took 2 of them away from him today.
Yeah, there were a lot of frustrating, head-scratching moments. Seth Joyner always shedding good light, though, on the defensive strategy of the Eagles. We will have the D'Ambrosio drive of the game coming up right after this break. Stick around.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Del Val Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, President of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Postgame.
There you go, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Hey, I'm trying to add a little levity to the Christmas Eve celebration. But after this show, I got to help Santa to deliver some gifts, come down the chimney, all that stuff. So
are you bringing me a few? You bringing me some?
You've been bad.
No, you get coal this year, Tanner. I got a bag of coal for you.
Oh, wow! Look, they both team up on me. Wow.
Well, okay. Well, what if you're just dressing up at Santa for us to throw snowballs at you? I feel like everyone in Philly is in the mood to do more of that than receive gifts and be joyous after that loss.
No, I'm spreading joy tonight, Devin. I'm just
okay.
Spreading joy. I can slide down the chimney, and the big man will wait outside as I go down the chimney.
Hey,
we need joy spread after rare Eagles L.
I wanted to break this out after a W, but
yeah,
it don't happen the way you plan.
To me, after your comment to me right now. I wish it was snowing because I'd be sniping you. I'd find where you were, sit on the roof.
I was actually going to bring you
all night with
chicken wings.
snowballs.
I was going to bring you some chicken wings to broil, but the stores are closed. Nobody's open tonight, D. So.
You can't let the Dallas Grinch, quench your holiday spirit, man. You should have started the show off with that hat on regardless, man.
Yeah, you're right. We cannot let Dallas ruin Christmas for everyone.
No,
you're right.
Stay positive here.
They still suck.
All right, let's get into our Jeff D'Ambrosio auto group drive of the game. GoJeffAuto.com. Guys, usually there are like several drives to choose from, or there's one clear one that stands out. I'm not sure that is the case with today's game. I'm actually very curious to hear what you guys have to say about your drives of the game. Who am I going to call on here? D-Gun, let's call on you. You were talking about Mike with snowballs, so let's go to you first.
Eagles are leading 20-17 out of halftime. They come out of the locker room. They hold Dallas to a 3-and-out. They get the ball back at their own 23. Minshew, first shot, goes up top, 22 yards. Dallas Gardner makes an incredible catch to put him at the 45. A few plays later on the 3rd and 9, he swings it out to Gainwell, picks up 21 down at the Dallas 34. They cap it off with Minshew hitting a Smith for a 14-yard touchdown to put him up by 10. At that point, honestly, as I said earlier in the show, I thought the game was over. That made it 27-17. I thought the Eagles were in control, and Dallas was about to do the El Choco the rest of the game in front of their home fans and a national audience on Christmas Eve. Lo and behold, the end of the game, it didn't turn out that way, but I thought that was a definitive drive of the game. I'll go with that one.
All right. I like that. Mike, what about you?
Well, that's a great drive, and I looked at that one as well. But, the score was tied 27-27 after Boston Scott fumbled it. And the Eagles were kind of like a little down and out. That was a bad moment for them. And then Minshew led a drive that was 13 plays, 75 yards. And he came out of the gun. He made a couple of great 3rd down throws. One out of the pocket where he rolled to his left, threw across his body. Yeah. And got Devontae for a 1st down. And another one was over the middle to AJ. And they were 1st and 10 at the 12. And they tried to run Sanders in there. And here comes a 3rd and 6. And he made a really nice throw to Devontae in the corner of the end zone. 13 plays, 75 yards, put him up 34-27. I thought that was going to be the drive of the game. So I'll stick with that one.
Devontae was certainly the silver lining of this game. I'm so glad that he surpassed 1,000 yards, and he certainly went off. I wish they got the win for him, and as well as many other reasons. Seth, what about you? What was your drive of the game?
I don't have a drive of the game this game.
Oh.
I got two.
I didn't know that was an option, but I like it.
Listen, you know me. I just don't. I can't follow the status quo all the time. I've got 2 crashes, 2 wrecks of the game. Okay. You can't go the 8th and 9th possessions. They go 5 plays interception, 1 play fumble. You can't go back to back turnovers in a game. And we're going to talk about the drive of the game. Those are the non-drives. Those are the wrecks that you're driving by that you can't stop, but you can't help but look at. Because those were so instrumental in this football team losing this game, because they miss both of them. Dallas turns around and goes touchdown, field goal. All of a sudden, this thing is like out of sorts. And we're all like sitting here knowing that this game is probably over. So those are my, Jeff D'Ambrosio wrecks of the game.
I like it. Changing things up, Seth, I'm going to piggyback off you and say my wreck of the game was the 3rd and 30 play that, I don't even know if I want to say credit to Dak Prescott for making a throw and the catch was good as well. But the fact that the Eagles defense even allowed that to happen was disappointing to say the least. And I felt like that sealed the game for me. That's when I was kind of
you're right. That all happened in sequence, by the way, Devin. It was the bomb and then the interception and fumble. They had 3 bad whammies in a row for the Eagles there. And that really turned the game around.
Hey Seth, just some food for thought. You can't use wreck of the game in a car dealership in the same things, okay? Just remember that, okay? Don't do that.
I didn't even realize that. Wow.
Let me say this, okay? And it ain't nothing but the truth, okay? That's
well,
why
he's covered by insurance. I guess
that's why they got the car Fox. Not every single car that's on the that's on the lot, okay, is a brand new car. Some of those cars have had accidents. They've been fixed up. You get your Carfax, and everything's good. So
my goodness.
Come on, man, it's all good.
Yeah. Maybe let's stay away from wrecks of the game. I don't know what we'll find a better term. While we're on it, you know what?
I'm sure that Jeff is watching the game and he understands. It is so befitting. It's befitting of what we just watched.
It really is.
How about fender bender of the game? How's that?
Love tap of the game. Don't like that. No.
Since we're talking about this, somebody sideswiped my car, so I had a dent in the side door. So I'm parking in front of a CVS. This guy comes around and says, "Hey, I can fix your dent for you." It was like this guy who goes around fixing dents. He puts this suction thing on it, and he sucks out the dent.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll do it for $500." I go, "No, I can't give you $500 for that." He goes, "Well, it's a $500 deductible, probably." So I wound up buying him a gift card. Was that worth it? Would you have done that?
First of all, you can go to auto store and buy the device and do it yourself.
How much is the device?
You go with the self-help answer. The guy was right there. I said, "What the hell?"
You probably got duped. He's probably the one that put the dent in your car so he can get $500. You got hoodwinked, bamboozled, man.
I probably did. I got bamboozled.
Oh my God. Okay, but in Mike's defense, I actually had my car sideswiped, and it was in the shop for like a week, and I had to get a rental, and it is a pain. So yeah,
it is a pain. And the guy goes, "I do this for a living."
I'd be like, "Sure."
I didn't know from. I go, all right. He goes, "Buy me a gift card in CVS, and that'll cover it."
That's what it was. A gift card to CVS.
I'm telling you, he did.
That's what it cost me.
I'm telling you, he did it. Mike, come on, man. How convenient it is. A dude standing right there and say, "Hey, I can fix your dent."
I know. I knew I had the dent there.
Okay.
And he just happened to wander by. I guess the guy goes around looking for dents in cars.
Okay. All right.
It clearly has a lot to buy in CVS. All right. Well, that is our Jeff D'Ambrosio Auto Group.
No, it was a Visa. It was a Visa gift card. It wasn't CVS.
Oh, okay. That makes it a lot better.
He couldn't use it to pile up on drugs or anything.
Okay.
Or athlete foot powder, something, whatever.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Anyways, our game balls presented by Colony Pools will be coming up right after this quick message from our partners.
My wife was in an accident that changed our lives forever. She was in rehabilitation for years. She had to learn to walk again. She couldn't take care of herself. We couldn't afford a nurse. We were running out of options. One conversation with Lehocky changed everything. They understood what we were going through and immediately helped us navigate the legal process. We can't thank them enough.
Lehocky, tell us your story.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown Big Finish Sales Event.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Welcome back to the Lehocky Postgame Show. I'm Devin Keeney. It's time for our game balls presented by Colony Pools. Flywithcolony.com. I don't know.
Did you see Derek Gunn drinking the eggnog when we came back?
That was eggnog.
No,
the eggnog.
Orange juice.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Also, an equally weird thing to drink out of a thermos.
Let me tell you something.
Not if you want to keep it cold.
Thank you. And look. Plenty of ice in here, keeping it cold for the whole last hour, baby.
Okay. Yeah, sure. But you know what? It's Christmas. You do it. What makes you happy, D-Gun? You know what? While we're on D-Gun, who is your game ball going to today?
I'm going to take it and divide it up. I'm giving it to the offensive line because the offensive line's ability to make Gardner Minshew extremely comfortable from start to finish, give him ample time to stand back there and complete 355 yards worth of passes. The offense flowed exceedingly well in the absence of Jalen Hurts. It all starts in the trenches, so the offensive line get my game ball.
I like it. Offensive line is the one constant that the Eagles will always have. Thank you, Stoutland University. Mike Missinelli, who gets your game?
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with Derek because they played very well today. But listen, Devontae Smith was just a monster. You know, 8 catches for 113, and he made some spectacular catches. I mean, that last drive where he went up and got that, and then the toe tap on the sidelines, and that nice route for the touchdown. I can't deny him this game ball. Devontae Smith gets my game ball today.
Love it. Seth?
You know, I agree with everything that D-Gun said, with the exception of Gardner Minshew looking comfortable in the pocket. I mean, he was doing more electric sliding than, not necessarily electric, moonwalking, I should say, than Michael Jackson back there sometimes. I was like, man, stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. But I digress. I agree with I agree with Mike Missinelli. Listen, I think Devontae Smith, he finally got a high volume of targets, and you see what he can do when he gets a high volume of targets. You know, normally when Jalen is playing A.J. Brown is going to get the high volume. I also think that Dallas Goedert, when you look at Dallas Goedert, he had 3 passes thrown to him today, and he caught all 3 of those passes for 67 yards. Can you imagine if you give this guy, 8 to 9 targets a game, the type of numbers that he would put up? And I thought it was BS that the NFL took him off of, the Pro Bowl balloting just because, he wound up missing, 4 games because he was on IR. But Devontae Smith, in my opinion, is a star waiting to blossom. And if it wasn't for, A.J. Brown and his high number of targets, I think that he could have a game like this every single week. He's sure-handed. He's sure-footed along the sidelines. And, man, the way he went up and got that ball tonight, I didn't know dude had a 30-inch vertical.
Yeah. He definitely deserves some recognition after his game tonight. Before we wrap up this segment, always have to ask the other side of things, anyone you're taking a game ball away from.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Well, that's the easy call today, isn't it?
There you go.
Well, I don't know. Do you guys have the same answer?
Yeah, I think we all would be in agreement.
You got enough balls over there?
Yeah, really.
Well, so are we going one person or defense as a whole? Or?
No, I'm just saying listen, you can take a game ball away from Quez. You can take a game ball away from Josiah Scott. You can take a game ball away from TJ Edwards in pass coverage tonight. Darius Slay.
Slay's the obvious.
Slay is the name that I thought we were going to hear. Yeah, I agree with everyone said.
And I would actually take a half of game ball away from Jordan Mailata. I'm still ticked off at him for not finishing plays. I mean, it happened a number of times today, and it just blows my mind. It really pisses me off when I see him. Oh, I pushed him down inside. The quarterback got out of the pocket. Now the play is over. No, it ain't. Just go lay on him. Go lay on him because he's an effort guy. He's going to get up off the ground and go and make something happen. Take that guy out of the play. Put all 360 pounds on him when he's got one hand on the ground and finish it.
Yeah, he's had a few moments in recent weeks where he's looked a little off, and it's kind of concerning me. But he still gets D-Gun's game ball. Before we wrap up, D-Gun, Mike, were you guys going to say anyone else that Seth missed?
No, this is Darius Slay. What Seth said was completely true. I think TJ Edwards was not great in coverage today. But Darius Slay was confused today, which was, that can't happen. I mean, he's the guy that you really count on to settle that whole thing down back there. He and Bradbury, and he didn't play well today. And he has been leaking, so it's a concern right now. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from that 30-yard 3rd and 30 was when they showed the replay. You see Slay, he's supposed to have outside containment, and his eyes are still in the backfield once TJ Hill gets past him. And then once he's 3 or 4 yards past him, then he decides to turn and run. Now, did the safety come over too late? Who knows in terms of that? I don't know exactly what the call is. But Slay's got to take that man in a situation like that. That's his man. Why are your eyes still in the backfield when the dude's running past you? Because freak plays happen all the time. And sure enough, the one pass this guy gets, it's the first time he plays for the Dallas Cowboys since they signed him 10 days ago. The one play he makes is a defining moment of this game, and it never should have happened if Slay had been technically sound on that play.
Yeah. And that play, I felt really sealed the game in a way. It kind of deflated the Eagles. It deflated me while I was watching. It was just all right, well, that's probably game.
Well, you know what it is? It's a technical thing, and again, I will always go back to, the theory that what you see on the field is either being coached or it's being tolerated. It's just a fact. Guys, bad eyes will get you beat in this game more than the lack of ability, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because the offensive guys know where they're going. They know the snap count. They know what the play is, so on and so forth. They know how to adjust. But if I got a guy man to man, my eyes are on nothing but him. I don't care what the quarterback's doing. The quarterback's not my responsibility. If he gets outside, that's the defensive line's job to keep him contained and keep him in the pocket. Now, do I have to react? Yes, I can react, but my guy is my guy. So my eyes are going to be on him until I hear whistles. And if I don't hear whistles, my eyes are going to continuously be on him because he can be scrambling in that situation, and my guy could free up, and come back and get a ball. But to me, a lot of it is it's the little things. It's the little small details. If you're in man coverage, that's your guy. If you're in zone coverage, you always play from deep to short. He got caught up today playing short to deep, cost him a touchdown. There's always these little things when you don't, and for me, it's a preparation thing, and when we talk about the complacency of being 13-1 and winning as many games as you won, sometimes, there's this, it's human nature to kind of like let some small things, the little small details that you stay on all the time kind of slip, and if you don't work on your technique all the time, from time to time, kind of refresh them, these are the kind of situations that you find yourself in.
You know what? We've been screaming all season long about the Eagles DBs playing too soft on receivers. How in Jonathan Gannon's MO is keep everything in front of you. How do you lose sight of this in a 3rd and 30 situation?
Yeah.
If you give up 15, 20, 25 yards, so be it. But you can't give up 53 yards on a 3rd and 30 when your guys have been playing soft coverage all year.
No, he also got nabbed for an illegal contact penalty on T.Y. Hilton early in the game.
Yeah,
which Dallas scored off of that drive when it was a 3rd down, I think, and illegal contact game the 1st down.
We've been complaining about soft coverage, but then think back to when they played the Vikings way early in the season, and Darius Slay completely shut down the best receiver in the league, arguably, in Justin Jefferson. So I want to know where that Darius Slay, and yes, I'm calling him Darius Slay, not Slay now, because I want him to step it up and become the Slay that we saw earlier in the season. I want him to come back in time for the postseason.
Devin, I think sometimes what winds up happening is, I played on teams that have been strictly zone teams, and I didn't enjoy playing in those systems. I played on teams that have been primarily man teams. It puts a lot of stress on you, but you know what it does? It makes you be on your P's and Q's at all times, because you know that if your guy beats you in a certain situation, that it's all on you and it's out there for everyone to see. And I played on teams that, have had a good mix and a good combination of both at the right time in the right situation. I believe that, the passivity that you've seen from this defense, throughout the year kind of puts the players in this mode sometimes. There was a stretch early in the season where Darius Slay was just, he was untouchable. You couldn't even go his way. You might as well try to find somewhere else to go. And then, you had the first injury to Avonte Maddox, and that kind of changed some of the coverages, and they started playing a lot more zone. And I think that when you get in this mindset of playing zone as much as, this defense plays zone sometimes, it makes you passive, and it takes your edge away. It's much easier because the first coverage that you learn when you start playing ball, when you're just a little bitty dude, the first thing you learn is man coverage, So you can't tell me that players don't feel most comfortable in that scenario. The issue is you've got to be coached on how to do that from a technique and a fundamental standpoint to be ultra, ultra comfortable doing it. And when you're constantly put in zone, when you're like thrown in the man and you hear all the time, oh, we want to keep everything in front of us, we don't let anything behind us. Think about the negative mindset that creates inside of you. I would much rather be overly aggressive and then you have to rein me back in than for me to be passive. And then all of a sudden you want me to be, this ultra aggressive, player. Doesn't jive, in my opinion.
Also keep in mind, while you're on the subject of Darius Slay hasn't had an interception since the first meeting against the Cowboys back in week 6. Okay, so he hasn't played badly since the last Cowboys game. He's played rather well, but he hasn't been that game changer we've wanted him to see. We've wanted to see him be, and now this was definitely a glaring. I don't know. Maybe he was already on Christmas break. Who knows? Maybe he's already thinking about little sugar plums dancing in his head or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he made the Pro Bowl. Maybe he was like, all right, did that can take a step back now. Who knows? But I do know, I saw in his post-game presser, he is frustrated. The team is frustrated. So hopefully they can take this loss, learn from it, bounce back, come back stronger, especially in the postseason that is coming closer and closer for the Philadelphia Eagles. That is it for me. You guys are going to stick around after the break for your 2-minute drill. I am signing off after this. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays. And hopefully the next time we're talking, it's after an Eagles win.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Devin. And we'll see you next week.
And good night.
Yep.
And good night.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Postgame show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Postgame, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.
Continue your communication sciences and disorders education at Salus University within the Doctor of Audiology or Masters of Science in Speech-Language Pathology programs. With state-of-the-art labs, on-campus clinics, and extensive externship opportunities, students position themselves to be at the top of the job market. Stand out in the audiology and speech-language pathology profession by visiting salus.edu.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Welcome back to the Lehocky Eagles post-game show. It is Christmas Eve. I hope everybody's enjoying the Christmas Eve and can put aside the fact that the Eagles lost this game today, 40-34 to the Dallas Cowboys. What's it all mean? We're going to close out this show tonight with our 2-minute drill. We're talking about some important issues. Yes, sir.
Yeah, real quick. I'm glad you brought that point up because about an hour ago, I put a poll out there on my Twitter account. And I said, how much will this Eagles losing to Dallas affect your Christmas weekend? So far, almost 1,800 people have responded. 74%, not at all. Now, as much as Philadelphia fans hate losing to Dallas, this Christmas, man, nothing should spoil your Christmas weekend.
You're right. That, the fact that they know they only need one win over inferior teams to get the number one seed. So that's a good cushion. But let's talk about where we are now, because we talked about this a little earlier, and this is obviously a little more than 2 minutes, this conversation. But we had John McMullen a little earlier. He hinted that maybe Jalen Hurts wouldn't play the rest of the year. So I want to get you guys' opinion on I don't think he will play next week. I think they will trust Minshew to beat the Saints. And then everything, we don't have to worry about anything. But if they don't beat the Saints, and the Saints won today, they beat the Browns in cold weather, by the way. If they don't win that sets up the final game against a hungry Giants team who probably still playing for the playoffs at that point. So where do you guys stand on this whole thing? What do you see happening here with Jalen?
I have said all week long, because this scenario has been brought up about keeping Jalen out more than one game. I don't think that there's any way they'll lose to the Saints, especially at home. But you just never know, as we just saw the way this game unfolded, the way we've seen games unfolding all season long across the National Football League. I would hope that the Eagles would have that last game against the Giants as an opportunity to rest up key players who are nicked up, bruised up a little bit, give them that one extra week. I didn't want to see them have to play that game against the Giants as a significant game to still determine wrapping up the number one seed. As I sit here right now, even if Jalen doesn't play next Sunday, they better beat the Saints next Sunday. They better beat the brakes off the Saints next Sunday. No question about it. Because when you got two division teams going at it in that last game of a season, both of them having something to fight for, unusually crazy stuff can and will happen, and all of a sudden somebody goes down that you don't want to see go down when you've got to turn that corner and get ready for a playoff scenario.
Yeah, Seth, the best case scenario is they beat the Saints with Minshew, and then they rest Jalen Hurts, and then that brings in to play the fact that he will want to have played in 4 weeks. So how would you figure that this whole thing for the rest of the year?
I don't like it. I mean, I until I can get a greater understanding of how injured he really is. Is he having discomfort in the shoulder when he throws? Is there a loss of strength when he throws? Is there, what's the significance of the injury? I just felt like because he played the entire fourth quarter last week that it was just more of a precautionary thing that the Eagles were doing than it was, truly an injury thing. And the Eagles didn't rule him out until I want to say Wednesday or Thursday. So they kind of gave you hope. But you also knew that was kind of gamesmanship that they was doing with Dallas to make Dallas have to prepare for two different quarterbacks. I don't think that, Jalen Hurts can go into, or it's prudent for the Eagles to have him go into the playoffs having sat the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. To me, that just makes no sense whatsoever, because you can't knock that amount of rust off. Football players play football. That's what they do. If you're injured, if you're injured, that's one thing. If you're hurt, you got to figure out how to get through it if you're hurt. If you're really injured, then that precludes you from being able to do what you do in the most efficient and most effective way. Now, if that's Jalen Hurts, if he is injured, then they've got to do the smartest thing that they've got to do, and they got to rest him. But I would much rather see him come back and play this coming week, dominate the Saints at home, and then rest him, for the next 2 weeks, leading up to that. Allow him to get the shoulder stronger and so on and so forth. But if he can't go, listen, he can't go. I mean, you can't force him to this. This isn't football like back when I played. This is a different era and a different time. And like I said, I don't know the significance of the injury. So it's hard for me to say, oh, you need to just get on back out there and play. Or it's one of those situations where he's really struggling to throw the football.
So if he's hurt and not injured, you would most likely want him to play against the Saints next week.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I mean, if the only thing that worries me is his ability to throw the football, because you can take the RPO out of the offense and put him in a situation where he is purely either handing the ball off or passing the ball. And the only time that you put him in harm's way is when the play breaks down and you get in a situation where he has to run. But like I said in the pregame, every single time that they call a RPO type of play, every time that they get in that package, there's a chance that he might pull that ball and run it. So everybody was talking about last week, 17, 17, 17. Oh, Miles only got 11. Well, understand, it could have been, let's just say for a number's sake, that 15 times there was an RPO call. And the proper read was for him to pull the ball and run with it. Well, now it's the play calling that puts him in harm's way so much more than anything else, because the read is what determines whether he hands the ball off or whether he throws it, or whether he keeps it and whether he runs. Well, the same way you got to protect players, from themselves like they did this week by not allowing him to play. And I know he wanted to play. You got to do the same thing in play calling. Don't call those darn RPOs and put him in a situation where there's a potential where he might put the ball out there and the read says that he has to keep it. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take it a step further now, because there's a couple other guys we have to worry about. Now, Vontae Maddox was having a great game. I mean, he was flying all around. He's getting in the backfield a lot, and he's now in a walking boot. So that probably takes him out for next week, and I don't know how long. And then Lane Johnson with the groin. I would expect that the safest thing for a groin would be to rest him next week as well. So how do these two injuries play into what the Eagles are now for the rest of the year?
Well, you've played a good stretch of games without Avonte, and they've been able to get through. It didn't work out in their favor today, but you're going to have to do it again. So it's not like you have to bring someone in cold off from the outside to do this. They just have to tighten up some loose ends in that regard, and whoever takes that spot, whether it's Josiah Scott or whoever the case may be, you've got to ramp up your focus. You got to sit and look at every piece of the tape that you played on defense today to find out what did I miss? What read did I miss? What angle did I miss? How did I miss this tackle? So on and so forth. How did I miss the ability to jump this route? So on and so forth. You've got an extra day this week leading up to the Saint games to rectify those problems. Plain and simple for that young man, whoever takes his spot.
I'm trying to figure out, how long before they could potentially get Gardner Johnson back. Right. Because I think he remedies a whole lot of things. Because I think we've seen enough at the safety position, with Blankenship coming back today, with Kayvon Wallace kind of stepping up his game a little bit, that maybe you can take a guy like, Gardner Johnson and move him back into the slot. Listen, they're not going to be able to survive with Josiah Scott, playing in the slot. He's just not ready. Normally you'll see a young guy come in and you'll see some type of progression where all of a sudden the light goes off and they begin to get it. He's just not ready yet. And he's a liability for this defense when teams are passing the ball. He made one good play today where he knocked the ball away in the end zone. Other than that, he was late everywhere he was supposed to be. I saw him miss tackles. I mean, you just can't, you can't play winning football with a weak link in your defense, because the great coordinators, when you get to the divisional round and you get to the NFC, AFC championship game, guess what they're going to do? They're going to game plan the hell out of that guy, and they're going to make that guy, they're going to expose his weaknesses.
Yep.
All right, so quickly now, before we wrap this whole thing up today, the Saints. Now, they're kind of an afterthought to us. We all think that they should be able to win that game with even Gardner Minshew. It's a home game. Is there any worry for this game coming up for you guys?
Well, to D Gunn's point, I think there's always a worry. You know, there's only a handful of guys, 1,696 players in the NFL. And just because the team is bad, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be bad all the time. To D Gunn's point, you know, Andy Dalton, you know, he could explode at any time and have a big game. They still got Alvin Kamara. This kid, Chris Olave, is playing lights out as a rookie. You know, defensively, they still get after you with Cam Jordan. And I forget the linebacker's name, but, you know, he is just phenomenal. They got some players. And given the fact that you've got injuries on both sides of the football, you know, you would say to yourself, D Gun, that, hey, they should win this game going away.
Right.
But when you got injuries of this magnitude, you know, those are the things that level the field against superior teams and lesser teams.
Well, Chris Olave didn't play today, so hopefully he misses next week.
Yeah. Now, for the record, the Eagles, it's just been posted, they are a 5.5-point favorite in this game. Well, which I think is a little short, but you know, I agree. I think that they can win the game. Hey, the best case scenario, and we're both
Mario Davis.
It's Christmas Eve, so we'd be as optimistic as we can. They win that game with Minshew. They rest Hurts, and then we worry about the next step, which is his inactivity as they become the number 1 seed.
I got 2 quick questions for both of you before we wrap this thing up. Number 1, Miles Sanders, we agree, has had a phenomenal season. No question, best season of his young career. He has now had 2 fumbles in the last 2 games. Should we be concerned?
Well, he was a fumbler. You know, that was the reputation, and he kind of cured that. So I'll just say this is an aberration game. You know, he's had a pretty solid season. Obviously, they were a Pro Bowl season, and one game does not make me think that he's going to be a fumbler again. So I'll look at it that way, only because it's Christmas Eve, and I want to stay optimistic.
All right, Seth?
D-Gun, I'll say no, because you got to – I always like to look at how a guy's fumbles, okay? Yeah. The fumble last week was a result of, you know, a guy hitting him that he couldn't see and a missed block by an offensive lineman. Before he could even get the ball really good to do something, you know, the guy was on him and raked the ball. As much as we want to talk about, oh, it's his fault for doing that, or it's Quez's fault, you know, for, you know, the fumble back a few games, you know, when you don't know the guy's there and you're trying to make a play, you know, you don't fumble because you want to. You fumble because sometimes the other team makes the play to make it happen. So that happens. Then I'm looking at the fumble today. I'm looking at that one again. He's dancing all over the place, trying to make something happen instead of just you realizing that your tight end got beat. Micah Parsons is right there. Cover the ball up, eat the ball, eat the loss, and at least we can live another down. But that's not in Miles' DNA. You can tell by the way he runs. Sometimes when plays are meant to be hit up inside and it's all jammed out, he's going to try to bounce it and make something happen outside. He plays that way, you know. So I'm not going to say that it's one of those situations where he's a fumbler. I just think that it will force him to focus a lot more on how he runs. And I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about him.
You know what? I hope you're right. He was very distraught after that last fumble. I just hope it's not in his head.
Yep.
Because when it gets in guys' heads that, you know, there's being overly careful not to fumble is when they usually fumble. So for now, we'll just be in a holding pattern with him and see where it goes. Guys, thanks for hanging out.
Hold on, man. He had one more question.
You got one more.
Oh, you got one more? Oh, okay, go ahead.
All right, next one is.
You're trying to hurry up and get to the eggnog, ain't you, Mike?
Yeah, I know. He's trying to get to that jug real quick. Look at it. All right, should Zach Pascal's role in this offense be elevated more so than Quez Watkins? Zach today had 1 target. Quez had 5. You look at the body of work. You know, Pascal is a physical dude. You know, he's not losing that wrestling match for a ball the way Quez is. Should he have more viable option, even if he is only 4th option in the offense? Should it be more viable option than Quez?
D-Gun, I thought so all along. I've thought that all year long. That, you know, you got to figure out a way to incorporate this guy, not only for his pass catching ability, because he can catch the ball, but you can play him in the slot. He's a hell of a blocker when you want to run all of those bubble screens and whatnot. You don't get the block. And I seen Devontae today, kind of throw an Olay block, and his guy got away, and made a tackle. You need guys like that. You need guys to do the dirty work, and it can't be just A.J. Brown all the time. And you can't just go 2 tight ends, 12 personnel all the time. So you got to figure out a way to light a fire under Quez, because I think Quez is one of those players that kind of gets complacent, understanding that he's not going to get but 3 or 4 targets a game. So the intensity isn't there because he knows that he's not going to be the primary, but maybe once or twice in a game. Maybe you need to light a fire under him. Players need to be motivated sometimes. Hey, your job is on the line. Get your act together, or this guy's going to get your reps.
You guys made good sense on that. I wouldn't hate it. Quez has made some big plays, though. But they also have enough big play guys where they can pretty much compensate if they want to go safe with Pascal. So yeah, I'll be okay with that. All right, is that wrap it up for us?
Yeah, go ahead and get to your eggnog, man. Go ahead.
I got some lasagna waiting. I got all kinds of stuff I got to get to. Happy Christmas to you guys, and my best wishes to you and your family. And we'll see you on New Year's Day. Another holiday game against the Saints, and that could be the game that clinches that number 1 seed. So until next week, everybody out there who's been watching, have a happy Christmas.
Yeah. Hopefully both of you be sober on New Year's Day.
I'm always sober, man. Yeah. Hey, listen, man. Hey, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa. I don't want to leave nobody out. To everybody in Philadelphia, hey, listen, I know you hurt a little bit.
Here.
Make sure that you enjoy this holiday season with your family.
That's right.
Absolutely. Well said. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Everybody out there, have a great rest of your Christmas Eve and a great Christmas Day tomorrow. This is the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli for Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. We'll catch you next week on New Year's Day right here.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Jim Gardner is an icon.
A Philadelphia treasure.
He's a mentor, a pace setter.
Jim is my North Star.
He's trusted, revered,
appreciated.
He is Action News.
He's compassionate, honest,
and fair. He is extremely dedicated, motivated, and always seeking the truth.
He's also funny. We are a team of many.
Jim Gardner is our leader, and we're lucky to have him.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Up. And go Birds.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.